This is eCommerce Uncensored. Brought to you by Fast Forward Unlimited. We're coming to you fully loaded and exposed with all the strategies and techniques for growing your e-commerce business.
Hey everyone, and thanks for joining us on another episode of eCommerce Uncensored. This is episode number 99. My name is Kevin Manel, and I'm here with
Jason Caruso and Paul Chu.
So I know you're going to go into this, but I, as well as you, am super excited about next week's episode.
Yeah.
So just a little bit of a teaser. We actually recorded our 100th episode on Monday.
Right. This is the 99th.
Yeah. But we decided to, we had such a great story, a great interview with one of our listeners that had some real success with his store. And we decided that would be a really good idea to share that with you guys for our 100th episode.
Yeah, we don't normally do interview style podcasts. I mean, we get emails every day almost. Maybe not every day, but every other, let's say every other day.
Right.
People saying, hey, I'd love to come on your podcast. And because of like the scheduling and chasing people down, we just don't do it. This guy who we're going to be talking with next week, and I would advise all you guys, if you want to hear about a guy who went from nothing to a six-figure store, you're not going to want to miss this.
Make sure you hit that subscribe button so you can tune in for next week's episode.
So we don't really do them. But this guy has been solid. I mean, he's reached out to us like years ago. And was it years ago?
No.
A year ago?
Maybe a year ago when we started the Facebook group.
So he reached out to us, and we've just kind of kept in contact with him. And we kind of like, went back and forth about having him on the show. He wasn't sure. He's not like, he's a scientist, so he wasn't like sure. But then he came back to me and was like, I'd love to be on. So we recorded it already, and we thought that it'd be a nice 100th episode. What really, we talk about Klaviyo a lot on here, and obviously they sponsor our show, so a lot of people sign up. At least that's the feedback we're getting from our listeners, right? And it's one thing for us to say, go do it. It's another thing for one of our listeners who actually listened to us and now talks about how it's been like one of the keys for him to, growing his site from $100 a month to like $100,000 a year, not a month, a year, right? So I don't know if we need to talk any more about that, but if you go to ecommerceuncensored.com/email, you should sign up for Klaviyo. They have a free trial up to 250 contacts. I will guarantee. Wait a minute. Maybe I shouldn't guarantee.
Guarantee.
Easy with that word.
If you use the platform properly, you will make more money, and it will pay for itself.
And we just had a discussion with one of the new marketing guys at Klaviyo yesterday, and they're just coming out with a ton of new stuff. They just developed a mini series. Alicia Thomas over there, I'm not sure what her title is exactly, but she's going to a company called Chubby's. I don't know if you guys ever heard of it. No. Have you heard of it, Paul?
Yeah.
They're an e-commerce store, and they're really blowing up, and she's kind of documenting everything that they're doing, so it's really cool.
They're a Klaviyo
right, they're
client.
A Klaviyo customer.
Right. She's not going there, but she's documenting them.
She's interviewing the store owner. She's at the store interviewing them.
But they're a client of Klaviyo.
Right, exactly. Right. Okay. So you can actually check out that miniseries. It's really cool.
Yeah, and we'll be posting that around. You'll hear more about that later.
There's one last thing that I want to mention about Klaviyo is that they have the tickets for Klaviyo Boston available on their website for 2019, which is next September, and they're doing a deep discount. So if you guys are, if you guys went this year or want to go next year, I think they're like $399. The tickets before
compared to
the end of the year,
$1,200.
By June they'll be up to like I think $600 or $700. I think, but
and then it goes to $1,200.
Yeah, take advantage of that now.
And we're going to be there.
Yeah, absolutely.
So don't forget about our Facebook group, ecommerceuncensored.com/Facebook. All right, so today we're going to be talking about something that we just kind of experienced with one of our clients, and we're finding this to be true more and more. And basically, we're going over like the Black Friday, Cyber Monday results and determining sort of what platforms performed, which ones didn't, how much money they obviously made, all the kind of fun stuff.
Yeah.
And one thing that we've found is that because of retargeting, because of the multi-platform sort of integration in your marketing, it's very difficult to determine which platforms are working and which platforms are not. For example, you send out an email. In Klaviyo, anyone who opens up an email and then purchases within 4 days of opening that email, the email will get credit for that purchase. However, if they are retargeted within that 4-day period on Facebook, they click the ad on Facebook and buy, Facebook now is going to take credit for that sale as well. So now you have a problem here. You have Klaviyo saying it made this much, and you had Facebook saying it made that much, but the numbers are kind of intermingled, and you don't know how intermingled they are, so to speak, right? So some people could have opened the emails and then got retargeted. Other people could have just went to the website and got retargeted.
Yeah, and we were showing the results for Facebook, and we're like, well, we don't necessarily want to, show you these high numbers that Facebook gave you because they seem to be intertwined. But when you think about it, Facebook is the one they created the final sale, but the email platform Klaviyo was the initial touch point that the person had. So you got to almost kind of give credit to both. So I think what you're getting at is, you said it earlier, looking at a campaign as a whole instead of individual pieces.
And it makes it difficult for us when we are reporting back to clients, because they don't like to hear that, right? Like, clients like to hear ROI. What's the return on the ad spend, right? But it's getting to a point where it almost doesn't matter what the ROI is anymore, right? You should be on all the platforms. They are all going to retarget. Now, let's suppose you use Pinterest to retarget, and there aren't any sales through Pinterest at all. Then you may say, okay, it's not worth spending money on Pinterest.
Right.
But if Pinterest did drive some sales, then it's like, okay, look, Pinterest is a good platform for us, right? Like, you're not going to go on Pinterest and sell to men, right? Because it's a platform mostly, catered to women. So maybe you're not going to start that from the beginning. But you really have to take a more, like, what's the saying? A 30,000 foot kind of look, right? And say, okay, I spent this as a whole. The return on that was this. Was it successful or not?
Well, I remember we had a client, we had a sunglass company that we were doing work for, and we set up a retargeting ad, a catalog feed Facebook retargeting ad that was doing really well. It was getting, I don't even remember the term, but it was the return, but it was performing really well. So we would show them the numbers, and they're like, well, let's just scale that. That's how we can make more money on Facebook. Let's just scale the retargeting Facebook feed ad. We're like, but you got to understand that there's several levels before that person actually gets to the point of retarget. So we had, just content that we were sharing on Facebook that was driving the traffic. We were, promoting the brand to get people to so it's not like you just scale there at the end of the funnel and that just blows up. You got to, scale it throughout the whole campaign.
Yeah, I mean, and there's things you can do, like, set up conversions, like, on a much more granular level. Like, if they visited this page and then that page, you can kind of get the numbers a little bit clearer, right? Because, like, then it would be a little bit easier to see.
And for me, from my standpoint, I love, like, getting into that, detail-oriented conversion. But, like, and you've kind of taught me this. It's like, don't get caught up in that little details. Like, you could sit there for an entire day and outline all the goals and all the conversions that could come from this place or that place and make sure you're attributing the right, conversions per platform, but it's just like, just make a campaign, set a plan, put a funnel together, and then see what comes out of it as a whole.
Yeah, and it does make decision making and budget allocation. It does make it a little bit more difficult, but it's just where everything is going now. It's like everything is working as one, right? Like we can retarget from Google to Facebook to Facebook to Pinterest to Instagram. I mean, we can do all that now. Mm-hmm. And it's like, how, I guess we could have taken the income from Facebook, subtracted it from the income from Klaviyo, and then did that with all the platforms, and then you would know exactly. Well, no, but it still wouldn't matter, because if they're opening the email, you got to give credit to the platform.
How do you not give credit to Klaviyo as the original source?
Yeah.
And you know what? I think that the people we're talking to that are on the other side of this podcast are the guys who aren't going to have an analysis team, that are going to be able to put all these numbers together. It's just we talk about it a lot, to be able to fail fast, and change it up and pivot and do something new when you don't see something working. If you're spending all your time trying to figure out all these conversions and all that shit, it bogs you down.
Yeah, I mean, you obviously have to pay attention to it a little bit, but I think that it's very easy to get lost in it.
Yeah.
It's very easy.
I do it. I get lost in it all the time.
And it goes back to this, like,
we have a client right now that it's more of a lead gen website, and they have forms all over. They have different forms all over their website that we took over, and it's like a intertwined mess that, like, it's impossible to find out. Someone fills out a form here. Okay, where did they come from? Well, they came in here, and then they got an email, and they went to a blog post. It's just like, if you can just focus on the results of your campaigns as a whole, I think that's what's most important.
Yeah, and I think that, as I said, you can definitely, if you're not getting any sales at all from a platform, you could probably say, okay, let's not put budget towards it.
Yeah.
But honestly, with all the data we're getting, we're actually getting less granular. If that makes sense, right? More data would suggest that you would get more granular. Mm-hmm. But with more of the data, we have to start getting less granular, because all these platforms are working together.
Yeah, and when you have to show your brand to somebody, 8 times, 10 times before they buy, there's so many different touch points you have to hit between email, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, Google display ads, what else, YouTube. It's never ending. And I think it's important to make sure you hit as many points as you can, depending on your market, where your market will be. If you're older, maybe not so much Instagram, but try to hit all those points and cover. All right, struggling.
Yeah, I'm a little under the
Man, that sucks. I hate that.
Yeah, I can't stop.
It's just constant. It's that drip.
It's just like, no, it's a tickle. Like, it's just like, it won't go away.
Yeah, that comes from the postnasal drip. The tickle. I'm a doctor now.
Yeah. Amongst other things.
Yeah. A lot of things.
But yeah, I mean, I think now there is a little caveat, I think, with this, right? We're talking from a standpoint that you are marketing on all these platforms, right? There's a good chance that a lot of people aren't using all of them, right? Especially in the beginning, right? Because we talk about it all the time. Like, it's hard to be, when you're first starting, or maybe when you're just a little bit in, you kind of have to find your voice on these different platforms, because they work a little bit differently. So I always would say, look, try to master one platform, and then if you see it working, expand to another platform. And once you get that, and now you can easily kind of spread it out. Mm-hmm. But as people grow, as people's websites, I mean, the clients that we deal with, they're on multi-platforms, right? They're so, it's getting more difficult. And I think, the whole point of this thing is take just a step back and not say oh my God, Facebook's only converting at this, YouTube's converting at this, Instagram is converting at this, my email's converting at this. It's very difficult to know which one is actually responsible for the sale. I mean, you can decide on your own and say, look, I want Facebook to be like, fine, okay, I want email to be whatever.
There's a little bit of buzz. I don't know what that is.
But I'm seeing it with our clients. The more and more that we have to report to them, the more and more difficult it is to get a clear picture as to what, which platform is working and which aren't.
It's a timing thing too. Some people don't buy right away. Sometimes they could buy a month later after they see you on Facebook for the first time through another platform. So, and depending on when you hit them, will depend on.
Yeah, it also depends on how big your list is. It depends on how active you're. I mean, there's a lot of factors in this, but I know that clients and even like business owners are all like 100% fixated on ROI for the platform. Like, what is Facebook's ROI? Mm-hmm. Well, it's a little tricky. I mean, we don't know really.
Yeah, especially when we have so many other things going on at once. You really don't know.
Yeah, and at what point do you want to give which the credit? I'm for me personally, I am under the I feel like if somebody opens up an email, that's where they started the journey for a particular campaign, right? Some of the credit needs to go there. Mm-hmm. If they then go on Facebook, there's a good chance that Facebook didn't make that sale. It facilitated it, right? It played a part in it, but really all it did was get back in front of them.
But how did you get that email originally, right?
Right.
Before the fact,
Right. So where'd you get the email from? Were you running a Facebook campaign that you got a lead from? I mean, there's so many different and these platforms like Klaviyo, like HubSpot, a lot of these platforms, they do show you the customer journey, but
it's definitely getting smarter too.
Yeah, it's getting smarter.
Oh man.
We need to get one of those cough buttons that you can mute your mic.
Yeah. It's definitely getting smarter, but again, who do you give credit to? Like, so if we open up a client or a customer in HubSpot and it shows their journey, and the journey goes Facebook, email, clicked, email, Facebook, then Instagram, and then placed an order. What do you do?
Right.
Who gets the credit?
I feel like that happens a lot, even for me. Like, I've discovered brands on Instagram and then browsed their stuff, never purchased, signed up for their email newsletter, and then got in their email newsletter, saw the deals, but still didn't do anything, and then saw them again, like you said, just because they got in front of me again on Instagram, even though I'm already kind of a follower, and then I purchased, where there's no way to keep track of that. And I feel like that happens a lot, especially with maybe younger generations, because you're all over the place.
Yeah, and, I don't know about you, but what I do sometimes is I'll get an email, right? I'll be like, oh my God, okay, I got to save this. I want to buy this. And then I just forget. Mm-hmm. And then I go on Instagram or go on Facebook, really, and then I see it. I'm like, oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Now I just remember I wanted to buy it, and then I go buy it. Who gets the credit? I mean, like, how do you, So I think, like, it's getting harder to determine who gets credit for what. And I think it's going to get less and less important which platform is actually giving you the ROI. And you have to take it. I think of Paul's girlfriend, Christina, right? She's a like a UX, UI designer, mm-hmm. so to speak, yeah. Right? And she creates all these steps, right?
Yeah, like flows
and steps. And like I think about that, I'm like, yeah, this is awesome, man. You could kind of see everything, mm-hmm. right? And everything is kind of interconnected with each other. There's no real because any one of those pages that she creates could be a starting point, mm-hmm. even though the starting point didn't have anything to do with it. But you see all these mazes of like where people can go, right? Mm-hmm. That's what these big companies want. They want to see that stuff. People can come in anywhere on that, on that design. So it's like, how do you kind of, how do you determine what's working and what's not?
I think one of the most important things to do is to make sure you do retarget any traffic that comes to your website.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we're assuming everybody here is retargeting.
Yeah.
But, There's one thing that I've noticed, or that I've actually learned over the past 2 years, right? As marketers, we get very fixated on, like, if something's not working, that, like, there's a reason, like, we weren't clever enough to get people to buy, right? But really what it is like, it just wasn't a good enough offer. Like, people just didn't want it enough, right? Like, I think about, like, some Facebook ads that I ran for, like, my little golf thing.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, I didn't even have a landing page. A link went to a Google form, and it said, if you want to get on my email list, go to the Google form and sign up. And I would get, like, 50 a day, right? Because what I was selling, people wanted. It doesn't matter what the landing page looks like. It really doesn't, right? Like, if you present what you're selling in a way that makes people want it, that other stuff is not as important. Now, I know I'm talking to two designers here.
Yeah, I'll always disagree with you on
You always disagree with me, but from a paid advertising standpoint, I've proven it to myself, man. Like, my golf ad has been one of the most successful ads I've ever done. And all it is a Facebook post with a link at the bottom that says, go to this Google form and sign up. It was getting 76-cent emails. You ever seen a 76-cent conversion?
Never. We should really probably do something about that.
Yeah, well, you got to get a launch monitor in here.
So that was for what was?
Oh, that's what we need.
Yeah, I mean, what are we gonna
That's
do?
what'll take it to the next level if we get a launch
I already
monitor.
looked at them. They're like $2,000.
What was that for that you're referring to? Signing up for a golf webinar that you had, or like a course or something?
No, I was just like, basically, I did this, like, post, and at the end I said, if you want more tips like this, like, click here and sign up.
Because I think what I'm thinking, and I'm sure you guys have an opinion on it, and other people do too. I think it differs based off what someone's buying or clicking on or getting into. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think, yeah, I'm a designer, so I'm always going to defend the look of things, and a page should be appealing. But I think when you buy a product, that matters more. Where if you're signing up for something, you don't really care if the website's that good, because you're not investing money, or, like, it doesn't reflect on the quality of the product. Do you know what I mean? Where if it's a website page, you're like, oh yeah, the website's maybe not that great, but I've heard this guy's voice, I know his ideas, I'll invest in my time in a webinar or something like that.
And I'll throw another little thing into that, because you're right. I think that's possible, right? I can't say that it's not true, but I can say that, like, mobile's throwing a monkey wrench in all that, man.
True.
If you look at a phone, how much design do you see?
Well, a lot still.
I think you see
Just on a smaller scale.
I
it's
think you
different.
see a lot less. Like, for example, the menu, you don't even see that anymore.
I just think that from your perspective, you don't see the design. Like, when we talk about, like, yesterday we were discussing, like, putting a message, like, we need to have some kind of message in order to do the design, and you couldn't really fathom that. And the words that are on the page actually contribute to the design of a page. So that Quip website, you think that's very simple, but the messaging, the words are part, even though it's all white with a picture down the middle with two words, the words are part of the design. So you can't go without the message.
No, and I think I'd have to disagree with you 150%. Like, I don't know. If those words said Jason Caruso, what does it matter what they said? It's not the word. I'm not saying the words don't have to be there. I'm saying they don't have to have the message.
I'm just saying, from a design perspective, the color of the words, how many letters are in the words, how big the words are, that contributes to the look and the feel that someone's, we're getting very, detailed oriented with the design, but I'm just saying it's part of the design process that you go through. And we're not really talking about what we originally talked about on this podcast, but
no, but it goes, we're just talking about marketing on different platforms, and, like, so I think that, I guess that's why we went there. But anyway, so yeah, I think that people need to look at more of a just like a higher level, approach to this, what success means, because we're finding it's getting harder and harder and harder to determine what actually is working and what actually, I don't want to say is not, but what's actually driving the sale.
Yeah, and have levels of marketing. So don't just, like, send an email campaign out and be like, okay, the email didn't work. Have some kind of retargeting message that you see on Facebook or Instagram that follows that person after they've clicked the first time. Because as we've seen in the campaigns we run, I think we had like 50 or some orders that Facebook was, taking credit for in this last campaign we ran. But all of those 50 were from the email that we sent out originally. So
How do we know that?
Because they were getting retargeted based on that landing page that we were sending people to from the email.
Oh, God, okay. You did it, so I wasn't sure.
Well, I do everything around here, so you wouldn't really know.
Yeah, I'm starting to see that you think that. Oh, I mean, but anyway, but yeah, that's, I think if anybody's going to take anything out of this long-winded discussion about, is like determining or defining your success needs to be a little bit more of a multi-channel thing and not just like a direct ROI thing from platform to platform.
Right on.
All right.
Boom.
That's cool. So
Next week.
Klaviyo, next week.
Next week.
Big
don't
episode
forget.
number. Episode number 100.
Yes. And we're going to have Josh
Avila.
Avila. He's a scientist from Texas. Very interesting guy.
Yeah, he created this food for very unique, exotic fish.
Yeah. And he what's really cool about him is like he like, because he's a scientist, he like documents everything. Yeah. He said he documents at the color of the buttons. Everything is documented. And then he says, like, I go look at it and I see what worked and what didn't.
Yeah, we can tell by his engagement on our Facebook group too. That
Oh,
he's
the dude
very
is
detailed, and he tries. He's so connected to everything. He's trying to get as much information as he possibly can, and I think that's really.
Yeah,
we talk about that on
in the podcast.
So.
Like, he'll ask a question in the group, and I'm like, I don't know what the hell he's asking. I have no idea what he's asking about. So
you can join our Facebook group at eCommerceUncensored.com/Facebook and
go sign up for Klaviyo, eCommerceUncensored.com/email. It'll redirect you. You have to do it. If you have Klaviyo, what'd I say?
You said Klaviyo. I'm just saying Klaviyo again.
Yeah, if you're not, and just another quick note is they want to sign with us for another year.
Yeah.
So thank you guys. That's awesome. It's because of you. It's not because of us. We do believe in the platform. We know it will make you money, but it definitely helps when you guys actually listen to our advice.
And go sign up and get your tickets for Klaviyo Boston. Albert, put a link on our website for the Klaviyo Boston tickets, so you can go to eCommerceUncensored.com and you'll see a link on the podcast notes for that. What are you looking at? You all right?
Yeah.
Okay. You all good? So eCommerceUncensored.com/email to sign up for Klaviyo, eCommerceUncensored.com/Facebook to sign up for our Facebook group. And that's all we have for today.
Later.
This has been episode number 99. Thank you guys so much. We'll talk to you real soon.
Later.
Bye-bye.